Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with Germany surrenders unconditionally at Rheims, showing a lot of the people signing the surrender for Germany, and obviously the Allies accepting that. We're now on to General Ike flashes a victory smile. May the 7th, 1945. His job is done. The surrender negotiations were carried out at Dwight D. Eisenhower's headquarters at Rheims, but the general did not himself meet with the delegates. Afterwards, however, he received General Jodl and General Admin Friedberg to ask them sternly if they understood the terms of surrender. With his great task successfully accomplished, General Ike can afford to take a cigarette smile um, and a cigarette and smile his satisfaction above. And look at him. He's got his cigarette, he's got his big old smile. The time of cigarettes, everyone's pretty much doing it. He and General Supopropolov shake and extend mutual congratulations as Lieutenant General Ivan Chemanov left grins appreciatively. You can see him, and then that guy looks a little creepy just standing in the background like that. But yeah, these guys are probably really happy. Obviously, General Ike, very, very happy. His job, at least in this theater, is done. Still have a little bit more to do, but you can guarantee he's probably like, oh, I'm so glad to be done with this. Because, well, probably wasn't the most fun. Let's just go with that. Germany's surrender is ratified in Berlin. May the 8th, 1945. Keitel. Signs. Okay, why is it not wanting to focus? I hate when it doesn't want to focus, you know? Keitel signs. Marshal Wilhelm Keitel. Kittel? Uh, German Army Commander, above, signs ratified surrender terms at Russian headquarters in Berlin on May the 9th. Sword of the rigid and correct. General rests on the conference table. Below, the papers are checked over by Air Chief Marshal Sir Arthur Tedder, left, okay, right there, and Field Marshal Georgy Zhukov, K. Zhukov, Deputy Commander of all Soviet forces. Yeah, so you basically got the two big sides main commanders here. You got good old Ike and Zhukov. Yes, technically Ike is above Zhukov in the grand scheme of things, because he's supposed to be overall Allied commander. But let's just be honest here, the Soviets didn't necessarily play that way as much. So, but Zhukov, obviously, they kind of show it here. They can see all the medals, but after this war is over, he gets so many medals. There's a movie called The Death of Stalin, and it shows Zhukov in that movie, and they had to tone down the amount of medals because people wouldn't believe it. But if you can look up a picture of Zhukov later on, he's got a ridiculous amount of medals. Triumph and defeat in Berlin, May the 8th, 1945. Two tokens. Field Marshal Keitel raises his sword in a token of submission after signing ratification of unconditional surrender. With him are Colonel General Paul Strumpf, Luftwaffe Commander, left, and General Admin Friedberg. It's probably right down here. There we go. Friedberg behind his shoulder. Oh, no, there's Friedberg right there. There's Friedberg right there. That's what it's talking about. Below, a quite different symbol is raised as a toast is drunk to victory by, left or right, Air Chief Tedder, Marshal Zhukov, and General Karl Spatz. Yeah, you got these guys, and look at that guy. That's Paul Strumpf. Just look at him. He looks tired. He probably is quite tired. But when you got these guys down here, And you have Tedder. Tedder's probably he seems a little worried there. And they're all kind of looking at him expectantly. None of them look happy though. You'd think they would be. You know, they got their victory here. Leaders proclaim VE Day. May the 8th, 1945. The flags of freedom fly over all Europe. These were the solemn words of President Harry S. Truman as he announced to the nation the unconditional surrender of Germany. The West is free, he said, but the East is still in bondage to the treacherous tyranny of the Japanese. Meanwhile, in London, Prime Minister Winston Churchill declared the evildoers are now prostrate before us. In the picture above, smiling President Truman announces to the press the complete victory of the Allies over Germany. And below, the Prime Minister waves his hat to cheering throngs in Whitehall. Behind him is Minister of Labor Ernest Bevin, left, so there. And behind the President are Mrs. Truman. Let's see if we can see Mrs. Truman. Well, it's one of them. I don't know which one of them it is. And Mary Margaret Truman. While notables are seated at the table. So that's his wife, probably. That's his daughter. But yeah, obviously VE Day, it's not what it's called today. It has a different name, depending on where you are. Some people call it VE Day still. In the US, we do not. It's typically not called that. But it's a so very important day, obviously. These guys are so tired by the Germans, so it's like, oh, thank God. Okay. And Truman brings up a good point, obviously. Yes, we got victory over Germany. This is true. But the Japanese are still a threat, and we have to deal with that threat. And, well, it will come to pass very, very soon. VE Day, New York, London, and Paris. May the 8th, 1945. Symbols of victory. Under the torch of the Statue of Liberty in Times Square, New York, picture at the left, crowds riotously express their jubilation over victory in Europe. And the picture at the top right, the royal family waves to cheering crowds at Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth and King George are flanked by Princess Elizabeth, right there, and Princess Margaret. And below, General Charles de Gaulle, there's de Gaulle, facing the camera left center, lustily leads Parisians in the singing of the national anthem. Now you can see, obviously, everyone is quite jubilant over their victory in Europe. Look at that crowd, by the way, in New York. Look at all of these people. You can't even imagine being there. It just goes on and on with people. It's crazy, man. Crazy. And yes, there's King George and his queen, and there's the future queen. It's crazy to think. And King George, not necessarily the best speaker that he thought himself to be, but he definitely was, and his country very much appreciated their king during these times, and he did his best, you could say. And there's good old de Gaulle. He'll become ruler of, or leader of France, and I'm a ruler, but leader of France for quite a while. And hey, he's a good charismatic guy, let's say. He's also very tall, by the way. And he looks taller than these guys, but trust me, de Gaulle is like a really tall dude. Russia celebrates peace. May 1945. Joy in Moscow. Throughout the Soviet Union, victory over Germany was celebrated after an early morning broadcast by Marshal Stalin. In Moscow, tens of thousands of people gathered to sing and dance in Red Square, where they are shown top, right up here, obviously, and then tossing a British Tommy gleefully above the crowd. Here's the good old British Tommy. Many smaller allies were equally joyful, as in Rotterdam. Now you can see these people are all quite happy. Everyone's so happy with the victory in Europe. VE Day in the Far East. May the 8th, 1945. Two reactions. In the battle line at Okinawa, men of the fighting 77th Infantry Division listened with grim faces to the news of Germany's surrender. The war was far from over for them. A few minutes later, they were back in the fighting, killing or being killed. Below, a WAC detachment in Kandy Selyon passes in review in celebration of the war's end in Europe. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they show it like this in these four pictures. You got all of the celebrations, like you have over here and you have on the previous two pages, the celebrations, but then you have the guys in the Far East who's listening, and you can see their grim faces. They're probably happy to hear it, but they get right back into the fighting. And even the WAC, they're still in review. They're still, yeah, they're trying to celebrate that, hey, look, the war in Europe is done, but they're still needed. They still have to do work. For them, it's not over yet. They have to fight, fight, fight. And many will still die in that fighting. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have any ways I can improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I read all the comments. They really help. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.